Hi everyone, the Iron Stack here. Welcome to another video. Today I wanted to get your thoughts and views on how the current global situation is and whether that is causing or making you want to buy more or less precious metals. So there's a few different variables at the moment. So there's obviously the tariffs that have come out from the United States. So they're 10% blanket across all countries, even ones inhabited only by penguins. So that's a bit of an odd one. But anyway, there's obviously certain countries that have imposed a lot higher tariffs, with the likes of China, which obviously produces a lot in relation to the global economy. I did see that there is talks of potentially some waivers for certain US imports into China, so that has made the gold price reduce a little bit, from what it has been over the last week or so. So there's always fluctuation in this, and by the time I post this video later, I'm sure that there's potential that the whole tariff situation might have changed yet again. But that's obviously had an impact on the gold price, as we've probably seen gold's hit all-time highs over the last week or so, getting over or close to £2,600 an ounce over here in the UK. With the tariffs, I think the longer that they probably stay in place will have an adverse effect on the US economy, which will likely reduce the chance of growth and potentially, it will impact prices, which will mean spending less, which will potentially increase inflation again in the US. So it's something that will have an impact, and it will be interesting to see how that feeds through into the economy. So I know it's not necessarily related to precious metals, but I do cycle as well. So I was watching a recent video where certain bike companies are passing on the 10% tariff onto the consumer in the end. So that's going to have an increase of 10% onto the price of their products. So that will probably happen to more and more products as the longer these tariffs stay in place. So having higher US inflation will probably mean the stock market will obviously reduce, or as more so than it has done already. I know it's been a bit of a roller coaster for those of us that invest in the stock market as well. Since the on-off situation with the tariffs, the stock market has been on a bit of a wild ride. So I know if anyone's looked at anything that's involving their pension or anything like that over the recent months, it will have decreased quite significantly, if it's anything like mine has anyway. So that's one thing that will potentially lead to further increases. So looking at the gold to silver ratio, something that I generally don't really pay that much attention to, but with the current situation on how unstable or how much turmoil there is at the moment, I had a quick look, and over the progressive last few months has increased quite significantly from where it was. So as of recording, the current gold to silver ratio was 99, which is pretty high. So if people play the logic game of the gold to silver ratio, it seems like a potentially good time to buy silver over gold. With the current prices of gold being so high, it might make more sense to purchase silver. Now, I know personally that that's not something that I'm likely to do. I prefer gold over silver, and I think there's potentially still further uptick in gold for the future. Silver, I think, is a bit more of a tough thing to see the potential gains. Even now, like, there's not been a massive fluctuation within the silver price anyway. So I haven't been able to purchase more precious metals over the last few months as much as I'd like to have. That's mainly due to a money situation from my point of view, not having the funds available. With the increase in gold price also doesn't make things any easier to buy. I have been trying to source the Tudor Beasts Queen's Panther quarter ounce, but at current gold prices, these are getting close to £700 for a quarter ounce of gold. Now, when I first started stacking a few years ago, you'd be paying that price for a half ounce coin, not a quarter ounce coin. So as these prices continually increase, it makes it, well, for me, and I'm sure other people, makes it more difficult to find the funds to purchase these type of coins, because you get priced out where something used to cost, say, £300 or £400 is now costing £500 or £600. So, which is a good problem to have for the metals that you already got. I get that, but it just makes it a slightly harder barrier to keep continually making consistent purchases to try and average into the various increases in the gold price. So I have just purchased some gold yesterday. I had the itch. It was been too long since I'd bought anything, so something that I haven't purchased before. So watch out. I'll be doing a video on that shortly. So keep an eye out on the channel. I'll put something up over the next few days for what that purchase was. So yeah, that's kind of where I am at the moment. I'd like to try and buy some more, but as I say, with the current prices, it makes things difficult. So I'd like to continue, but we shall have to see. Hopefully things might settle out and even out a little bit if this whole tariff situation comes to an end. That might mean that the gold price drops a little bit, which might make it a little bit easier to make those purchases. So yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. Is the current situation making you want to buy more or less precious metals? Ideally, obviously, in hindsight, we'd all like to have bought more, say, a year ago when prices were a little bit lower, but that's the way it is. Yeah, so thanks very much for watching. Let me know your comments down below, and I will catch you all on the next one. Cheers.